Supreme Court unanimously reaffirms that there is no hate speech exception to the First Amendment. From today's opinion by Justice Samuel Alito for 4 justices in Mattel v. Tam, the Slants case, the idea that the government may restrict speech expressing ideas that offend strikes at the heart of the First Amendment. Speech that demeans on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, age, disability, or any other similar ground is hateful. But the proudest boast of our free speech jurisprudence, that is, we protect the freedom to express the thought that we hate. Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote, "A law found to discriminate based on viewpoint is an egregious form of content discrimination, which is presumptively unconstitutional. A law that can be directed against speech found offensive to some portion of the public can be turned against minority and dissenting views to the detriment of all. The First Amendment does not entrust that power to the government's benevolence. Instead, our reliance must be on the substantial safeguards of free and open discussion in a democratic society." And the justices made clear that speech that some view as racially offensive is protected not just against outright prohibition, but also against lesser restrictions. In Mattel, the government refused to register the slants as a band's trademark, on the ground that the name might be seen as demeaning to Asian Americans. The government wasn't trying to forbid the band from using the mark, it was just denying it certain protections that trademarks get against unauthorized use by third parties. But even in this sort of program, the court held viewpoint discrimination, including against allegedly racially offensive viewpoints, is unconstitutional. And this no viewpoint discrimination principle has long been seen as applying to exclusion of speakers from universities, denial of tax exemptions to nonprofits, and much more. Freedom of speech is the most important part of our ability to communicate with one another. A concept like hate speech is subjective, meaning that what could be interpreted as hate speech for one person might not be considered that by another. Freedom of speech allows truth to surface and allows people like journalists to speak truth to power. Under a freely speaking society, new ideas, inventions, and forms of communication are possible, as the ability to develop is not hindered by a governing body. The only thing that can confront a lie is undeniable truth. After all, reality is agreed upon truths. In a free society, you can exchange new ideas that can lead to developments. The idea of restricting speech is still frightening to me. Canada's Bill C-16 passed recently, and I have spoken about this before. It includes compelled speech. It is also interesting to note that the passing of this bill instills into law gender theory, and laws against speaking out against gender theory, because it's hate speech. After all, they don't have freedom of speech in Canada. Because if you say something that could be interpreted by somebody as hateful or just problematic, well, you're probably going to have to go to court to defend yourself. And how do you defend not offending somebody? You can't.
The world is a wonderfully diverse place. And as scientists, we use the scientific method to try and understand that diversity. This is what is happening with the study of human sex and sexuality. Right now, biologists, sociologists, anthropologists, they're all trying to figure this out. And they're finding human sexuality is on a spectrum. And if you're like me, and I know I am, you're still learning about this field of science. I used to think there were just 2 settings, male and female. But it's actually a lot sexier than that. Check out the smoking hot abacus of sex.
Hi, everybody. So what we're going to be looking at today is sexual dimorphism. So I want to start today by first just talking about what sexual dimorphism is. And in general, when we're looking at sexual dimorphism, it's the difference in size, shape, or coloration between males and females of the same species. Now, in primates, we always see a larger male with a smaller female if we see sexual dimorphism. And there's really about 3 main traits that we see as sexually dimorphic. Although some species do have a coloration sexual dimorphism, we generally see sexual dimorphism as size. Males being larger, females being smaller. Now that can be overall body size, which is one place or one trait that we see.
Personally, I trust the lady with the skulls more than the old man with a giant abacus of sex. Sexual dimorphism displays the biological differences between men and women. There are two sexes, but the idea of gender theory separates sex into two categories. This is a way of applying critical theory to a person's biological makeup. People ate this up immediately, taking every opportunity to demand special privileges. Not people with genuine gender dysmorphia, mind you, well, probably some, but people who, more often than not, seek to see the limitations of rules like this. Take otherkin, for example, who identify as actual animals. This cult of inclusion generates a climate where disagreeing with strange assumptions makes you dangerous to those who want to champion the unfortunate recipients of those participation trophy identities. Well, that'll be it for now. Thanks everyone for watching, and feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter if that's your thing, and I'm considering opening up a Discord. Well, I actually think I already have a Discord, but if you want an invite to that, let me know and I'll leave it in the comments, and then I'll pin the comment. To be fairly honest with you, I don't use Discord a whole lot, but it could be an interesting way of scheduling my live streams and having a little bit more interaction with everybody. Maybe have call-ins during the weekly live streams. So, yeah. I'll see you all later.